Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And today will be my full review and discussion of this knife. This is the Kizer Quicksilver. A number of you have been waiting for this review, so I thought I did move it up a little bit in the schedule and get it out for you. I've got to say, guys, this is a pretty impressive knife, and right now, one of the things that's pretty cool about it is the value is really at a good place. You can pick these up for, I don't know, much less than they originally sold for. I think they originally went for like $180 or something like that. These days, they've been on sale a number of places, and so you can pick these up for like between $120 and $140 US dollars, which is great. If you're in Canada, really this knife is a pretty good knife, and if you can get it for under 200 bucks, you're definitely doing a good job. So that's one of the things that I really like about this right now is the value equation on this is pretty high. So let's go ahead and get started. This is an in-house Kizer design. As I said, it's one that I've been pretty interested in, but just hadn't pulled the trigger on because of price primarily, but now they can be had for considerably less than they originally went for. Size and weight is where we like to start, and that is going to be 8 9/16 overall. So that's just a little over 8.5 inches. So it's not, I will say this about this knife. This is deceiving. It seems like a bigger knife than it really is. And you'll probably see that when we do some comparisons. But it's just over 8.5 inches. But even in person and in hand, it looks really big. And that's primarily because of the way the blade is ground and the fact that the blade length is 3 3/4 inches, which is fairly large. The handle length is quite nice. They've done a pretty good job with blade to handle ratio here. The handle length on this guy is 4 13/16. So that's just a hair over 4 3/4 inches. And so to get that 3 3/4 inch blade in less than a 5-inch handle, I think is pretty nicely done. And the weight here is 4.9 ounces, which again, I think is pretty nicely done. A tie frame lock of this size without any internal milling for 4.9 ounces, that's again a win. And the grip area on here is going to be 3 3/4 inches for those of you who want to know about that. For me, I have a size large hand and it fits me pretty well. In fact, it would fit, you could still have an even larger hand and you'd still be fine. Now, in terms of carrying this all the time, every day, I think the size, weight, and overall profile make it really, really nice for that. There you go when it's closed. At 4.9 ounces, yeah, it may be a little heavy if you're wearing, I don't know, gym shorts or something, but otherwise, I think you're gonna be good to go. Let's take a look at the blade here. So we have S35 VN, stonewash finish, really nice compound grind here, top swedge. Overall, I really, really like this blade shape. It's definitely very interesting. The one complaint I have is that it's stonewashed. I do prefer a satin grind, and especially I find on knives that have sort of an interesting grind going on where you've got this compound grind, the lines tend to pop a little more when you have a satin grind rather than a stonewash. Not a deal breaker for me at all, but I would like to see this in satin. I think that would look really, really sharp. Otherwise, yeah, sharp, get it? Haha. So, in terms of performance, this is actually pretty good. One, the blade stock is not crazy thick, about 1/8 of an inch. It's nice and thin behind the edge here, 24 thousandths down here, 29 thousandths up here. So there's a bit of a difference in edge geometry between the flat grind and the hollow grind, which by the way, makes perfect sense. However, I don't really find that making any impact on performance. I've cut a bunch of stuff up with this, whether it be, you know, apples and kielbasa for my kids' lunch or doing some cardboard cutting, whatever the case may be. I find this works really well. Of course, that hollow grind, if you're cutting cardboard or anything you can kind of get up on and cut this way, does make it really, really effective, just bites into material. And then of course the flat grind on the tip is going to make that a little more robust and a little more heavy duty. Again, both things I like. Some of you are going to be put off by the recurve. My advice on that is don't be, okay? You can easily, with a very budget-friendly sharpening rod system, I think the Lansky system is like 19 bucks. You can easily sharpen recurves and have no issue. The one piece of advice I would give you, if you're sharpening this, try to stop at this secondary point and then carry on rather than just bumping right over it. If you keep bumping over it over and over again, it's going to soften that edge and you're not going to get that nice transition. Okay, but otherwise, yeah, other than the recurve, and I know some of you don't like that, I, again, don't mind them. But yeah, great blade, cuts really well. Everything that I've tried to do with it, it did absolutely fine. So I have no issue whatsoever with this blade. And in fact, I really think it looks quite cool. Now, moving on to the action. This guy is, of course, a titanium frame lock, as all of you can see. You can see the lock bar insert there. It is on bearings, and it is a flipper-only deployment. And in that regard, it's quite smooth. I wish the detent were just a little bit firmer. When I light switch it, which is what I normally do, of course I can fail there on camera, but when I light switch it, it comes out quite consistently. I can get a little snappier deployment if I push button it and kind of preload it just a little bit, but I would like to see that detent just a teeny bit stiffer. Otherwise though, it's very good. It deploys consistently. It's very, very comfortable. Everything here, the flipper tab, the lock bar, everything is nice and comfortable and easy on your fingers. So if you're one of those people who, you know, has those soft feminine hands, you don't have to worry about getting them beat up and calloused by this knife like you would with some others. And so overall, yeah, the action on this is very nice, very effective, and very comfortable, especially if you're one of those people who's gonna sit on the couch and flip this open and close over and over again. This knife works well for that because it's just really, really easy on the hands. So action, I think, is a total win with that one little sort of nitpick that I would like a slightly stiffer detent, but really that's just my own preference rather than an actual failing in the knife in any way. Let's go ahead and talk about the handle. So this handle, by the way, you will see a couple of variations on this. This one has the milled grooves. I think there are some that maybe have patterning going up and down this way. I'm not sure about all the variations that are out there. The other variation you might find, since we're talking about how this is put together, there are some out there that have a phosphor bronze washer rather than bearings in the pivot. It is standoff construction, nice and open, easy to keep clean, which I definitely appreciate. That's, you know, sort of my preferred method of putting a knife together. I mean, I'm not going to die if it's not done. You can see you've got that dual position pocket clip there, tip up or tip down right side carry. Lanyard hole is just drilled through. It's not tubed or anything like that. And the hardware is typical Kizer hardware. We've got that weird looking pivot screw that I'm not a fan of. Overall, pretty well put together. So I have no big issue or complaint in terms of construction. And in terms of ergonomics, that's where this knife really stands out. The milled grooves here do add a really good tactile, you know, confidence in hand grip. It's very, very comfortable and very natural in a saber grip. In a hammer grip, it's not quite as natural, but it still feels really good. Reverse grip, draw cuts, anything like that. Pretty much every way you can hold this knife except for a full sort of ice pick grip. This is the only one that really doesn't work. So I think ergonomics on this are really, really good. I find this to be actually exceptionally comfortable in hand, and I think most people would, because the choils here aren't really, really big and they aren't really, really pronounced. So I think even if your fingers didn't fit quite naturally in there the way mine do, you're still going to be fine. Let's go ahead though and get to some comparisons the way that we always do. Start out with a Rat Model 1, mostly for size comparison. And there you can see that this is not actually that large of a knife. You know, the Rat Model 1 is basically the same size. And so if you have an idea, or so if you own a Rat Model 1 or have a good handle on how big it is, that should give you a good idea of how big this is. You can see the Para 2 is very, very close as well. The Para 2 being, you know, about 3/8 of an inch shorter. Getting a little bit of perspective there from the camera, so it's not entirely accurate in these size comparisons. There it is beside the Inkosi, again, a knife that many, many people are familiar with, and which again will give you a good handle on just how big this is. These are basically the same size, all right? What else have we got? In terms of competitive options, I always think Kizer compares well to ZT. They both tend to be priced around the same point. I will say ZT does really good in making a great titanium frame lock at a reasonable price, and Kizer does about the same thing. They tend to come in just a little bit cheaper in general. This one, of course, is much cheaper because of the fact that it's sort of heavily discounted right now. I thought this was a good comparison because of the fact that it's got the compound grind, but doesn't have that recurve. I do have another Kizer here. Let's go ahead and bring in the Kizer Uprising. I recently posted my first impressions on this. You can see the Uprising is smaller, but not by a whole lot. I mean, just, basically 1/8 of an inch or so on the smaller side. The Uprising, by the way, is heavier, and that's definitely worth noticing. Finally, whenever we have a big knife, or really whenever we have any knife, I feel like I like to bring in the Cold Steel 4max just to give you an idea that it's not all that big. Okay, so now that we've got those comparisons out of the way, what do I think of this knife overall? Well, the first thing I have to say is at the full price of like 180 bucks or something, I'm not totally sold on it. It's still a good knife, but it's not a great value. At the prices these things are available at now, I think this is a fantastic knife. It's a knife that, just about anybody could afford, and you're really getting a fairly high degree of quality and performance at, again, a reasonable price. So do I like this knife? Yes, absolutely. I love this knife. It's comfortable in hand. The blade shape is interesting and useful. The only sort of real issue I had with it as we went through here was the fact that the detent was a little bit softer than I'd like to see. And honestly, that, I'm not going to be too hard on it for that one little point. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.